Welcome, everybody, to yet another exciting episode of another goddamn horror podcast. I'm one of your hosts. I am Ryan Danley, coming to you from dark. It's actually I'm going to release this tomorrow, and it's New Year's Eve, which is the king of the bro holidays. I think it's if you're really great at New Year's Eve, you win a gold medal at the Bro Olympics. You know what I mean? And I don't know why all of our holidays are just like ridiculous. Like, it is really like fundamentally like a flawed part of our society. Like everything, they're like, hey, it's New Year's Eve. Let's drink and break things and drive drunk. Hey, it's St. Patrick's Day. Let's celebrate the Irish by drinking. Hey, it's Cinco de Mayo. Let's stand in a parking lot with a easy up in front of a shitty. Anyways, I'm going to complain. Is that okay? Is it okay to complain?
Listen,
yeah. It's real dumb out there right now.
Yeah, it's real dumb.
And like, you guys know that I'm very much ACAB, just like everybody else that subscribes to us, because that's really our whole energy. But also, the police presence needs to be a little higher at the Bro Olympics, just a little bit. Like, it needs. That's the only time I'm really going to say, like, fucking show up a little bit more, beat them up.
Yeah, I mean, right? Maybe it is funny because as ACAB as I am, when I do see videos that involve like different types of people in vulnerable classes, I'm sure maybe they're just beating the wrong people. But anyways, what do I know? Yeah. So otherwise, I'm doing good. What's up, Jonas? How's Bushwick?
Sure, it's fucking New Year's Eve. It's fantastic. No, it's dog shit. But there's things on fire, which is cool. There's already buildings on fire, which actually
is fun. Actually,
that's making me super happy. My Citizen app has been going off saying there's people fighting in the streets and there's buildings on fire. I'm like, fuck yeah, it is. Like, that's how you guys should do it. Just, you know what? Eat yourselves.
But like, do this on like June 3rd too. That's you know what I mean? If we're gonna
keep up this energy,
if we're gonna do the purge shit, don't do it for the Bro Olympics. You know what I mean? No. Do it for like some real shit. Graham, how about you? How's Flatbush?
No, I plan on spending the next few days inside. Then there was a cat emergency, so I'm forced to go outside for the next 2 days. About 6 blocks away, and I did that already tonight, and it sucks out there. But no one's being real loud, just real dumb.
Yeah,
it's just a bunch of dummies running around.
You know who's
to
not
their parties?
Yeah, you know who's not dumb though?
I do.
Who's that?
Our guest.
It's true.
It's true. Our guest is not dumb. Our guest is a pretty fucking awesome dude. I've known this guy for a long time. I've known our guest for, I would say, probably almost 15 years at this point, because I knew him way back in the day when I started comedy back in the Pacific Northwest. I knew him when everybody knew him by his name of David TV, but that is not what he goes by anymore. He goes by his real last name. Thank you for coming on to the show, David TVEITE. How's it going, man?
Hey, what's up? Yeah, I'm not dumb. I'm smart, okay?
It's true.
I'm smart enough to know that there's not a carceral solution for bros, man. These things need to be handled at a community level.
They do.
Exactly. No, it's true. I mean, I think that's the problem is that like how much of a bro do you have to be to fight the bros? You know what I mean? It's true. Like you can stare into the broness for so long until you realize that you're a little bit of bro yourself.
But the broness stares also into you.
Exactly.
I think what we need all of us to be a neighborhood watch, but only to slap the Jaeger out of the bros' hands.
Right,
like we just walk
bro watch.
Fucking stop it.
Yeah, that's like just like double downing the broness. You know what I mean? Like when you slap the Jaeger out of your hand, because it's a bro move, but like for goodness, you know what I mean? Like I'm using bro for good.
So I'm gonna slap you until you drop your roofies. Fucking
I'm gonna come in second at least here and talk about how I met David like 8 or 10 years ago, maybe at the Nest, which by the way is not looking good.
Oh no.
It just looks like there's graffiti on it. It looks trash. They were supposed to knock it down and build something new, and then something went wrong with the sale. So now it's just a fucking empty building.
That place closed during COVID?
No, it closed after. It closed last year, I think. Yeah, like a year ago.
I think it's converted into the Asbestos Comedy Club, actually. Is what it's probably.
Pretty much. But at Big Break there, that was one of my favorite things in New York City ever, was Big Break. And David used to be on it a bunch. and he was always one of my favorite comics on there. My wife and I looked forward every time we saw the lineup and stuff. We were like, fucking TVEITE's there. This is going to be dope. And so, yeah, so I've known him less time too, but
now
not the least.
But oddly, you might be the first guest that all three of us know from separate situations. You know, I mean, we know you all from comedy, but like from different scenarios. And I've known you the least amount of time, but like, and when I met you, I was like, hey, fuck this guy. It's another white comic in town, which means less billing for me. And
you can't have that attitude in Portland, Ryan.
But he's that much better than, you know. I mean, David's a fucking top tier comic. I mean, period. And like, and I'm like right the way down. I'm down that list. You know what I mean? So just him coming in just like pushes me down like another notch. So this is really just a resent factory now. You know,
I feel like when I found out that he lived out there, because I didn't know, and then I think you were like on a gig and I mentioned it and you're like, oh yeah, and then you never really said anything. I was like, he's awesome, you should hang out, and you're like, whatever, I see him. But then like as you got to know him more, you're like, oh, I want this guy on the podcast.
This guy fucking rules.
No, I know. I've always liked it from the beginning. I was just like, you're like, oh yeah, there's a comic out there who's great and stuff like that. It's like
there's another white guy.
Wow, it's a comic.
My classic catchphrase. Here comes another white guy.
I feel like, but like, okay, I have to say this though. If you're in Portland though, like, and I know that like there is a thing about that. Obviously, yes, another white guy in the comedy scene. What do we fucking need? Not that. But in Portland, that's kind of what's there. Like it sucks, but that's kind of what's fucking there. I feel like you guys can only be surprised if like a new black comic shows up. You're like, oh shit, another one. Like it fucking. I hate to say it like that, but it's true. That's Portland. Like,
it is a very white male dominated comedy scene, and
it is also comedy in general. I mean, it's like not as much as even it was when I first started, but like it's still a lot of white dudes because that's who ends up being like, I don't know, in their 20s and going like, everyone should listen to what I have to say.
Well, I think the thing is a lot of we've been told we can do shit and we kind of believe them. You know what I mean? Like there's like a buy-in on the like we can do shit things where like, because like everything we see, like we grew up seeing white comedians, we grew up seeing, you know what I mean? Like there's a belief in it. I remember like showing my daughter like a Donna's record when she was really little, and she looked in the back and she was like, oh my God, they're all women. And I'm like, yeah. And she was like, oh my God. And like, I watched it happen, but like, and even like as somebody who considers himself a progressive person, like you just kind of forget that like, that you have to like sort of be shown that like, and then considering that we just fucking like, we have like tokenization and then we just fucking put like things out there. It's like, yeah, all us white guys, we believe we can do shit because everybody's told us our whole life that we should be doing shit and that we can. You know what I mean? And
now, thanks to sleepy Joe Biden, we're not allowed to.
Exactly. Yeah, well, you know what I mean? Like, yeah,
when Joe Biden signed that law making himself the last white president.
Could you imagine the fucking meltdown? Oh my God.
I can't believe he got it through Congress. It was pretty impressive.
That's the magic of cancel culture.
The man's a skilled politician when he wants to be.
Exactly. But no, actually, in truth, you are one of my favorite comics in town. You're always fucking funny. You're a fucking good dude. We chatted in the back once at the Doe show about movies and stuff like that, and I think that's that night I was like, okay, we really need you on the pod. You know what I mean? Like I mean, not to take anything away from your glory, David, but Graham says that about a lot of comedians. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I love this guy, and
but I did try to get him on the podcast a long time ago.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember you mentioning it to me. But...
Right.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna escalate in the comics that Graham loves, especially like, you know, we got David. We're gonna go for like Janelle James next, I guess. Like,
yeah, I don't think she's doing anything.
No, she definitely has time.
She's got a lot of free time. How did you end up in Portland? Like, what did you?
I mean, I kind of just did the like classic fuckface Portland thing where I was like, I'm not doing anything. I always liked it out here, and like I have some family, and like my best friend moved out here like a little bit more than during the pandemic. And I just like sort of hit a point with New York where I was like, I don't really like. I moved there sort of nominally for comedy, and then proceeded to like not move my career forward 1 inch over the course of 6.5 years. And I was just like, I don't. My rent was going up, and I was just like, fuck it.
That is a real fuck face thing to do.
Do people move their careers forward in New York often, or is it a place that you go to maybe hone the craft in a tougher crowd and then bring it to a smaller scene? How does that work?
It's something that it's like sort of like New York is the same for comedy and alcoholism, where it's like either you move there and go pro or quit, or die, which is like often the case also, like very sadly. But no, I don't know. I think that without getting too navel gazy about it, I don't think that I had much of a like. I think that the people who are able to make something of it, have either more of a work ethic or more of a plan, or are just like the sort of psycho who's like really good at like going up to people and getting what they want out of them.
Sure.
I mean, like
I need to answer this as somebody who is still in New York, whose career has not moved forward 1 inch since moving here. When I moved to New York, it was something where it was going to be either Los Angeles or New York, and I don't like Los Angeles for more than 2 weeks at a time. And then when I moved to New York, I realized that I had to talk to everybody if I wanted to move my career at all, and I don't fucking like doing that. So I just decided to produce my own show and just do that. And I'm going to tell you right now, everything that you just said, like, you have to fucking, in order to move your career up in New York, you have to be an absolute whore about talking to people all the time. Like, you have to fucking do so much networking. And I know me, and I know I'll never do that. So I'm focusing on everything else that like we're doing like right now, and photography, and also telling my little jokey jokes. But I might move back to Portland at some point. It always seems to be the place that you go back to just for fun. Like, just fuck it. Portland's fun.
It's a lot easier to live here than other places. I mean, it's less that way right now, but it's what part of town do you live in, Dave?
I'm in Northeast.
Yeah.
Like Alberta.
Well, fancy, man. Alberta was the first place I ever bought crack in Portland. Now you don't buy crack there. You
can buy mushrooms in a store there, but you can't. It's a lot harder to get.
Actually.
Yeah. When I moved up here in the late '90s, boy, you could get crack. It was like really the only place that cocaine existed in Portland at the time. Portland was not a coke city. It was heroin and like fancy weed before fancy weeds was fancy weeds. Like, everybody had like a designer strain of weed that they all liked, which was insane to me. But me being from Denver, which is a big time coke city, enjoyed a little puff of the fun stuff, the David Addison, as I like to call it. And you
just said a puff of the fun stuff, and I just aged 25 years, like right as you said that.
But now you got
fun stuff.
Now Denver's weird. Denver's weird, man. Like, I was there for the first time in many years over the summer, and it's like people seem like fucking happy there, and I'm like, what are you like? What the fuck? Like, what are you so happy about? Like, everyone seems so upbeat.
It's thin air, man. Like, it suffocates the brain into like, it's like when you smoke weed and it like suffocates your brain, and you think the Simpsons are funnier.
All our Denver
fans. But I also like everyone.
Dummies.
I feel like everyone was walking around looking like very fit and like conventionally attractive too. So I think that's part of it. But
I don't. Is that happy though? Is that really happy? You know what I mean?
Acid runoff.
They don't seem.
No, dude. I could go down a couple of cup sizes, and I'd be pretty fucking stoked. Like, honestly.
They don't seem troubled by their thoughts the way that people out here are. And there are like a lot of things in common between the Northwest and Denver, but like I think that's why Denver has never really had like, there's not like almost no good music has come out of Denver, at least like on a national level. It's like there's like the first string of bands from there is like Devotchka and the string cheese incident or whatever. Like there are a fuckload of good Portland and Seattle bands. It's just like I don't think that people in Denver are troubled by self-knowledge the way that people are out here, you know.
I think it's, you know, at Denver's core, it's kind of I think it's the difference, you know. I put this into like weird sports analogies, which I hate, but Denver's a fucking football town, you know what I mean? And like and there's so the mentality there is just different. There just isn't that buy-in on like sort of depth. When I moved up here, like I was considered like conservative because like, you know, like I, you know, had eaten at, you know, I enjoyed like eating at Chili's occasionally, you know what I mean? Like
the hood.
What is wrong with you? How dare you eat at Chili's?
It was like, you know, but Denver is like, you know, I mean, there is a real normal kid at the core of it. You know what I mean? And like, and so like the mix in here where you move up to Portland, and Portland's like a heroin town, you know what I mean? And it's like and so it was dark and it had that dreariness and like, you know, things like this is the first place I ever saw people complain about it now. But when I first moved to Portland in the 90s, like people were like shooting heroin everywhere. You know what I mean? And so it's just the nature of this town. And it's like, you know, people shooting heroin just isn't pretty. You know what I mean? It's
yeah. I was at a Uber like a couple weeks ago, and my driver
and the driver was shooting heroin.
No, the driver was this shitty old lady who like just like I got in and she's like, man, the town's gone to shit. And it's like, all right, dude. I was like, whoa, this escalated very quickly. But she's like, my friend was on the light rail the other day and he had to get off because there were so many people shooting heroin on it. I was like, all right, so how many is so many? Like sorry, like 5? There were like 5 people shooting heroin on the train. That didn't happen, man.
Okay. But also, like, if you're
maybe one guy,
if you're gonna have a train full of people doing a drug that's not going to be that threatening, it's heroin. Yeah, those people are going to be fucking low energy. All right. Yeah. I'm gonna take that over 10 cokeheads any day.
Yeah, give them 5 cokehead. Give them a few minutes, and they're all going to be nodding out. You know what I mean? Like it's like
that's a fucking quiet ride. I want that train ride.
Exactly. Yeah. This town's very sensitive about it, and it is weird to like. They're sensitive about like drug use and things like that. Everybody's like, this town's going to shit. But like you go to New York City and it's like you see those things. You
go anywhere. My brother lives in Madison, Wisconsin. There are like a lot more homeless people around than there were a few years ago there too. So everybody's got to be somewhere, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's like the most Portland thing in the world is thinking that the problems that are happening in Portland now are simply just Portland problems. You know what I mean? That like there isn't like that you don't go to LA and there aren't tent villages and you don't, you know, that shit is everywhere now. That is just where we are in this country. Like people are not surviving, and that's just the reality of it. So you can blame Portland and you can blame this and that, but like what neighborhood's doing great in America? Like you go to the rural and it's all like meth heads and pregnant teenagers. The suburbs are a complete failure. You know, I mean, and like in the cities are where the suburbs are dumping their people that they can't. So it's just like you can point at Portland because we propped ourselves up on this thing as this place of like some sort of idyllic thing that Fox News has created for us. But the reality is, yeah, there's poor people here and there's drug addicts.
One of my favorite doom statistics is that the worst, and because we're talking about this, is that
this comedy horror show.
It's great.
It's taking a weird turn.
It is. It's that the worst community, that the worst neighborhood in America is Gary, Indiana, because nobody fucking thinks about Gary, Indiana ever. They're just like, oh no, that one's full of fucking drugs, like that one right there. Portland's fun drugs. Portland, that's like when I used to go to Portland all the time when I lived in Seattle. Graham, you would have fucking loved this time frame in Portland. I used to go to the Saturday market and there was always a dude that was coked out of his fucking head, but he was positive. He was like a positive cokehead, and he had 2 cats that were on his shoulders with leashes, They were the chillest cats ever. It's like they took all of his chill energy and he took all of their crazy cat energy and like they switched. And he was just walking around the Saturday market taking pictures with people and shit. He was fucking awesome. I miss those Portland people.
That's cool. So Blumhouse, were you also confused when you found out that it wasn't Blumhouse?
I think I'm finding it out like right now.
Oh, see, I don't even know what's real.
It is Blumhouse.
I've always thought it was
Blumhouse. Yeah, that sounds
but,
right.
But Blumhouse, I've heard, is the correct way. So
one of the things we wanted to talk to here, and Graham would rather talk about than like maybe solving world problems and discussing,
which we're going to do on this horror comedy.
Yeah, you know what?
Jason Blum is actually making a Gary, Indiana horror movie.
Yeah, we're going down the top 10, the top 10 worst places in America. Gary, Indiana, number 1 with a bullet.
It's gonna be one of those YouTube channels that's like most interesting top 10 blah blah blah.
Right. That's yeah. So we're gonna talk about some Blumhouse films. You were interested in talking about Blumhouse. So my understanding with Blumhouse, and it's similar to A24, and
this is a Blumhouse SEO episode, is what it is. We just said Blumhouse like 800 times,
right?
In 10 seconds.
Is that Blumhouse? He like doesn't do, as far as I know, I could be wrong on this. My understanding is that they don't do any like production, like make you rewrite shit or make you, they just want you to make the movie that you want to make and that you do that. And that's what I understand about them. I think A24 is the same. I think another one, there's no like, oh, I get studio input at the end of the movie and be like, oh, it needed more boobs or whatever, you know what I mean, which is pretty common, you know what I mean. For
A24 is just like, put some cum in the movie, do it.
Yeah. You have somebody eating a pie for 17 minutes. So it's been interesting. So because we get people who are, I think, better filmmakers who don't want influence from studios. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's what I know about it. So
I can tell you guys a little bit about this just because because of Comic-Con. When I went to the Blumfest thing, and they talked about it, they were talking to Jason Blum, and what he does is essentially they'll turn in a script to him and show him a script, and or like, you know, him and whoever else, and if they like the script, they'll be like, yeah, make your fucking movie. Like, it basically is that. Like, he doesn't tell them that they have to do this, that, or the other thing. He says the script is good, make your movie, make it the way that you want to make it. And he gives them usually a budget that is not like a massive budget, but it's also not like a micro budget necessarily. Some of the movies are micro budget, but they do have a budget cap also. So like, he doesn't do any movies under the Blumhouse production thing that's like a massive budget movie.
Yeah,
all of them have, you know, like a relatively middle of the road cap on it. But that's also why the quality of a Blumhouse, you know, Productions film is wildly across the board. You know,
I mean, so like, it's something that I think about. Like, their business model is very interesting to me because I'm like, I've been very down on sort of the state of just motion pictures in general over the past
Hollywood.
Like, yeah, I mean, like I'm a big time hater as far as like the MCU shit goes and whatever, and like I mean, regardless of whether those movies are good or not, which they're not. I mean, like the some of them hold up, I think, and are pretty good, and I never really need to see them again. Like, I watched them on a plane, and that was fine or whatever. But like,
I think there are some good ones, and I think the overall arcing thing of it was pretty good. I think Ragnarok is good. I think Winter Soldier is a good movie.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that some of them are good. Is it still good? No.
I mean, regardless of that, like, and they're you know, they're trying to use every part of the buffalo at this point, and they're sort of down to the dregs, where it's like, right, oh, we made a movie about the Marvels, and it's like, who the fuck are these people? Like, even like several years ago when they first did Ant-Man, I was like, okay, I think that I'm like about done with this. Like, I'm not gonna fucking see an Ant-Man movie. But
I like the Ant-Man movies.
But what the biggest issue that I have with major motion pictures over the past 10 years, and I think that it's sort of, I think that that wave is sort of crested. Like, between a number of things, like people's contracts expiring in the MCU, like basically them hitting a good end point for people to leave with Endgame and stuff like that. Like, but I feel like my issue with those movies has always been lack of specificity. Like, they're all so broad. Like, when you're putting $250 million into making a movie, you are banking on every single person on the planet seeing this fucking thing. So they're sort of made to be as unobjectionable as possible. And like, also, I mean, there's the stuff about like Edgar Wright was originally supposed to direct Ant-Man, and then he left because they were like, you got to do this to set up the next movie and shit. But I think that Blumhouse and like what has happened in horror more broadly is like sort of the opposite of that, and is like exactly the type of shit that I like, which is sort of has been sort of, you know, dormant in other genres, where you do have like sort of mid-budget movies where you can make something with like $30 million, like, and maybe they'll get like one big name in there, like Ethan Hawke seems to like doing these and stuff like that. But like the things that I love about Blumhouse in general are like they're allowed to be very specific because they're not trying to get every single person to see these movies. Most of the time they're rated R anyway, so it's like you're just trying to make a little bit of money on that 30 million or whatever. Maybe you'll score a big hit every once in a while. But and then the other thing, like you said, Ryan, is reliability. Like Blumhouse is, to me, they're like the band The War on Drugs. You listen to The War on Drugs at all?
I have, yeah.
They're a band that they've got like, I think they've got 4 albums out, and their first one is kind of boring to me, but in their second album, they found this style that is a very great, it's just rainy day music. And since that second album, they haven't evolved the style, they haven't explored any new directions, they're just doing the same fucking thing with no diminishing returns. And that's how I feel about Blumhouse. It's like all of these things are sort of carried by their premises, and almost any time you're not going to come away like, man, that was a piece of shit. You probably also won't be like, that's the greatest movie I've ever seen, but they've just been stamping out these movies that are like between 3 and 4 stars out of 5 for over a decade, and I think it's incredible.
I fully agree, and I also think that you just also described Motorhead, but it's
absolutely, yeah.
far more. I mean, I like Motorhead, you know, because you like Motorhead, or you're like, you know, I mean, you have to like Motorhead, but but it's like you can even like not like Motorhead, but you got to kind of like Motorhead. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that's where I am.
Yeah. It's like I don't want to listen to. I don't like listen to a lot of Motorhead, but if somebody came up and said, "Hey, here's a Motorhead shirt," I'd be like, fuck yeah, I'm rocking that Motorhead shirt because fucking Motorhead rules. And it's like yeah, I think that it's like everything that they're putting out, and I mean, they are working with like, I mean, they've worked with Jordan Peele, and they've worked with Mike Flanagan, and they've worked with M. Night Shyamalan, and they've worked with people who are good at movies. So they are being picky about what, you know what I mean? It's like they're still working with like people who can deal like I mean, we'll do another music reference. I saw the Cure a handful of years ago. I've always liked the Cure. I've enjoyed the Cure. I was a punk rock kid, so I dated a lot of people who like the Cure. That's just seemed the way that worked, you know. And but I went and saw the Cure, and I saw them in a outdoor amphitheater, which I typically not the kind of place I like to see a show, but that's where they were. They were at an amphitheater, and I was a little worried about seeing this kind of like classic, like goth core band, you know, goth pop band. It's like, how is this going to be? And they were actually able to come out, and it's literally the best show I've ever seen. And I kind of feel like the Blumhouse movies are the Cure. Like they are still like an independent, they still have that darkness, and but they have that like pop ability that can fill something like an amphitheater. You know what I mean? That when you watch like a Jordan Peele movie, it still has that independent vibe to it, but it still will like blow you away like a big blockbuster movie can too.
It's also just an intelligent way of making the films as a distribution company and as a production company, because what they do is they have all these movies with these mid budgets to where they are able to make a little bit of money, like you were talking, David, to where all of those movies that make that little bit of money will make up for the occasional movie that just completely shits the bed and makes absolutely no money, to where they're still above ground enough to where they can continue to do this to other filmmakers and allow them to come in and make whatever their vision of the movie is. And also the fact that they don't really tell them like, you have to do it this way, that way, or the other way, because they're not trying to do that. They're not trying to take hold of the actual property of the movie, of anything like that. And they're like, when Jason Blum was talking about it with a new movie that's coming out called Night Swim, the guy that's directing Night Swim is a first-time director. And when he presented the script to Jason Blum, he was just like, oh, the script is awesome. Like, do you think that you can actually make this movie, though? Because the guy, like I said, was a first-time director.
And also, I mean, you mentioned Jordan Peele and Mike Flanagan. They were maybe not Mike Flanagan, but Jordan Peele certainly was a first-time director when he worked.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely,
yeah, absolutely.
And Mike Flanagan was he has like now he has like this empire, but he was certainly not like an established name when
I didn't really like his movies.
Yeah,
I like his TV shows way more than than any movie.
You didn't like Hush or Oculus or
they were okay. I didn't really like Oculus at all.
Huh.
Hush is great. I mean, I like
Hush. I kind of liked
any entry in the genre that's just like some people in a house or something trying to keep something else out of the house is like that's gonna get me every fucking time. It's like straw dogs, aliens, whatever. Like,
right. Right. Yeah, it's a I mean, definitely like, and Flanagan had like a stuttered start in the thing. He did like, like Ouija 2 or whatever, which is like
that movie's great.
It's so good. It's so good.
The first
like
one is very bad, but the sequel is somehow very good.
Yeah, he did great, and he has Elliot in it. I always can't remember his name, but I just call.
He also has Lulu Wilson in it, who was Becky. Like, I mean, fucking that rules. And also, just real quick, the other thing, like I wanted to mention this too. The only time that Blumhouse really does a quote unquote Blumhouse movie, like an actual Jason Blum thing, is when they do the established IPs and they do the remakes. So like when they're doing the Halloween films or when they're doing the fucking Exorcist film, stuff like that. Like that's when it really actually kind of is a Jason Blum thing. All the other ones, pretty much everything else.
Those are kind of the worst ones in most cases. Right.
Like, which is wild. Like,
Halloween Kills is my favorite Michael Myers.
Are you kidding me? That movie was dog shit.
It was easily the best one. But by leaps and bounds. Every other
movie
one
was like, there's got to be like lead in the drinking water or something because everyone is behaving insane in this thing. Like, the part where they chase that guy in the hospital because they think he's Mike Myers just by being like a head shorter than him.
So much fun.
Well, I mean, like we have to talk about the reality that Haddonburg is a pretty sensitive little town.
Haddonfield.
Haddonfield, whatever.
Haddonburg.
But I'm sure
that's place in Pennsylvania,
the Jewish neighboring town.
I feel like they'll probably think I'm the killer because I called it the wrong thing. Because I mean, like I get it, like, but everybody is like really worked up about Michael Myers, like including Dr. Loomis. Everybody's really in their feelings.
Understandably so. Why do they keep putting him back in the facility that's like a 45-minute drive from there?
I don't.
He comes back to the same place every fucking time. Put him in like a Supermax in Colorado or something.
Right. Send him to a different state.
I'm just saying though that like, I mean, there are people like probably on my block right now who have murdered way more people than Mike Myers. You know what I mean? Like I live in St. John's, and I'm pretty sure the guys at the meth house down the street probably have killed a few people. You know what I mean? And I'm just saying, like, I just probably haven't ever like said, and they're the purest evil I've ever met in my life. You know, I don't know. Like,
it's like, but this is like one of those the Joker giving that little speech in The Dark Knight. It's like, like if a couple meth addicts kill each other in some sort of petty dispute, it's like that's all part of the plan. But if a guy like lifts a teenager off the ground and then pins them to the wall with a butcher knife. Like that's gonna make more headlines. It's just sort of like,
yeah, I guess so.
That's going to be the thing that people film in the street. They're not going to film the two meth heads killing each other. They're going to film the person that gets stabbed up against the wall. They're going to be like, put that on TMZ.
Guy yelling "World Star" when like
exactly.
Dude, do you know how funny it would be if you took every Michael Myers kill scene and just edited in one World Star? Just one in every single one of it. It'd be great.
That would be.
Like Graham, I want to show some solidarity for Graham. By the way, Halloween Kills fucking ruled. All right,
Thank you.
Him being a Michael Myers just murdering Terminator.
He just is Michael Myers,
slaughtering
and that's
everybody.
all I've ever wanted.
Yeah,
from the first one, I wanted him to do that shit. Futzed around.
Mm-hmm.
This one, he just got to it, and he was just a killing machine. Thank you.
And then you come to the end of it, and you just try to
for everybody to hate him.
When are we gonna get a remake of
bodies?
When are we gonna get a remake of Halloween 3? I think that shit's got legs.
I think so.
I think the next whoever picks it up or whatever, I think it may be rumored that they're gonna go that route and do a different movie every year.
I mean, I love an anthology like the VHS movies are appointment viewing every year. That's another thing where it's just like, there's always like one great one, and like any horror anthology series where it's like there's one great one, there are a couple of pretty good ones, and there's one that's not that great. It's a pretty good way to like kill 90 minutes. Like
kind of is.
Sure. Totally.
I want to get.
I still think VHS is the most consistent franchise in horror.
It is. Yeah, it definitely is. I want to get a Halloween 3 remake where the mask kills Michael Myers. That's what I want. Like at the end of the movie, it's the mask.
The Mask? Jim Carrey?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
He's like, it would be smoking.
It'd be fucking great.
Freddy versus Jason versus the Mask.
Yeah, there you go. That would be a fun one. I mean, okay, if we're looking at the fight scene between Freddy and Jason, it was pretty much the Mask. Like it was that over the top.
Totally. You know what? We were also gonna.
Yeah, why is Cuban Pete here? That was what I was saying during
that. It's like, did he just do a fucking power bomb? What the fuck was that? Like through a table.
We also were going to talk about Pontypool, which was a pretty fun. Fun? Is it fun? It's kind of like, I feel like there's a few horror movies that could be plays, and I feel like Pontypool is a good example of one.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Pontypool is like it's like all in one room, and basically, and then the vast majority of the action takes place like either just off screen or like in a completely different place. But yeah, I mean, it definitely has that radio play feel where it's like all of the stuff that happens is kind of just getting narrated from just off screen, and it would be very easy to stage something like that. But
yeah, maybe we should do that. You know, what do you think? Quit comedy, start doing Pontypool.
Do
a touring
horror,
touring theatrical production of a indie horror movie from 15 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. A Canadian one at that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because you
can get that going off Broadway. I mean, like the cast is off Broadway too. Like what you could like do that? You need like what 4 or 5 actors for that?
Yeah, exactly. It really
they're doing Saw the musical, and they're also doing Evil Dead the musical. They've been doing Evil Dead the musical for fucking a while now. I was way before Evil Dead.
I was gonna say, Graham, I think that Saw would be my pick for the most consistent horror franchise, but that's not to say that they're like good movies. You know, like they're just like they're consistently the same level of like bad to okay.
Right.
And it's sort of remarkable. Like there are like 11 of them now, and they're like all. You know, I said that like every Blumhouse movie is like 3 to 4 stars out of 5. Every Saw movie is 2 to 2.5. Like pretty much across the board.
Kind of is.
Right.
That is a weird. Right. That's a weird anomaly with the Saw movies, because after you finish one, you're like, that wasn't that good. But I want to watch the next one. Like, I don't
right.
Okay, you know,
what the fuck happened?
They're like episodes of SVU. You know what I mean? Like where it's like literally besides the police procedural part of it. But it's like if you watch an episode of SVU or CSI, like it's literally the dumbest TV you've ever watched. I've been watching Reacher,
I fucking love Reacher.
I love Reacher too, because Reacher, I think, is basically, is he autistic? They don't say.
He's kind of, yeah, no, that's like one of the things that the show really gets, because I've read a lot of the books too. They're just like, it's just, I mean, it's the most boomer ass fucking TV show where it's like, and the books are like that too. Like I just read the most recent Jack Reacher book that I read. There's like a part in it where he complains that CDs have too much packaging now. It's like this is dad shit. But yeah, no, I think that the what the TV show really does well, like in the I think Alan Richson is the guy's name who plays him, really gets the thing where he's like kind of on the spectrum.
Yeah,
it's like a huge muscly guy, but he's also like he loves prime numbers. That's like so it's appropriate that the show is on Amazon Prime, right?
Right.
But,
yeah.
He was also the secondary bad guy in the most recent Fast and the Furious movie.
Okay.
And he acted the exact same way in that movie. So
those movies are consistent.
He was still method as
yeah.
He was still he was doing a method thing as getting ready for the new season.
He had to have like a little bit of like stoic autism to play off of Jason Momoa, who was basically playing a fuckable Joker. So it was just like you had to have the balance.
There's what I assume is a similar show to Reacher, because I've never seen Reacher. I know vaguely about it. It's the same thing Tom Cruise did.
Oh yeah.
So John Cruise wanted to do it.
It's a book and stuff. I don't care. I've never seen it, but have you guys seen Banshee?
Banshee?
No.
Banshee.
No,
it's the dude it just hit Max. It was hard to find for a while. It was like only on Cinemax, but it just hit HBO Max. So, but it's fucking awesome, and it's the dude. It's the fucking the lead dude from The Boys, the bad guy.
Oh, Carl Urban.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
Yeah. No.
Oh no. Oh, I know who you're talking
about. What's his fucking name?
Homelander.
Yeah, Homelander. It's him, and it like I had no idea. I watched Banshee years ago. It's fucking great, and then Homelander, completely different. But Banshee is another white guy kicking ass. I think he pretends to be a cop. He's on the run, runs into a town that's like, we need a cop, and then
that makes sense.
He's like, I'll be the cop. But it's like a city. It's weird. I don't really remember.
Very much a Reacher type
awesome
show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like the Reacher TV show really nailed the casting, and like that was a big critique of the Tom Cruise movie, is that Reacher is canonically like a LeBron James sized man. He's like fucking enormous. He's like 6'5", 280 or something like that. And Tom
Cruise is small.
Is not. But if you watch that movie, I think that Tom Cruise just looking like Tom Cruise sort of has the same effect, where it's like, okay, everyone is like looking at this guy. But also it's like there's shit in the Jack Reacher universe that makes no fucking sense. Like one thing that never stops happening in any of those books or the TV show or whatever is just jeering townies coming up to him and being like, what are you looking at? Like, you want to make something of it? It's like, what are you doing? This guy is a tank. Like, everyone thinks they can beat him up.
That happens in every Jason Statham movie too. They just walk up to him, they're like, hey, you bald fuck, and he's like, all right, now I gotta do martial arts. God damn it. Like,
hey, just like this guy is like 2% body fat and just like radiating English rage, and you're like, hey, you want to go, man?
Right, exactly. And like it's and they are all ready to like go down and fight him like ninjas. Like every single person in every single town is like, and then they have a knife, and then it's really incredible, like the amount of like of action that they put in there. But I will tell you, in the TV show, and it's something that I really like, is they've gotten to a point where they will now show like him like breaking people's legs in half. Mm-hmm. And I think we have to give a nod to TV now being comfortable with a compound fracture or two. You know what I mean? Like that's a when I was a kid, we had growing pains. You know what I mean? We had Family Ties. We did not have Jack Reacher breaking a leg. You know what I mean? Of some random town.
Yeah, I mean, you probably had stuff like that if you had HBO, but now it's like, it's a lot more of there's a lot more of an audience for it and stuff. But yeah, good show. Watch Reacher.
Also, we don't need them in everything.
No. Yeah, I think that
dude, if Mike Seaver busted Boner's leg in half, that would have been like the best episode.
They would get so boring though.
Remember that part in that movie where Moana had broke her leg and then like the bone was sticking out?
I think the
Rock sang a song about it.
I think the arm break is actually what took down Steven Seagal's action career. He just did it too many times in the movies. That was what you waited for in every one of them.
No way. Freaking John Wick. Apparently they're not making any more of them, but he breaks people's arms and shoots them with their gun. He does like the same move in a ton of each movie. And I'd watch that for 1,000 times. It's just that watching Steven Seagal do things just isn't that exciting.
He can't run. He like never learned how to run. It's one of the funniest things in those movies. He's just got like spaghetti arms when he's running.
He's just I think he's really no good at anything.
All of every action scene, and you were talking about like every action scene in those movies is a guy tries to punch him, he catches their arm and then breaks it, and it's like they had to do it that way because his cardio is really bad, so he can't have like a back and forth fight with a guy for like a minute or two. Because he's like a fat guy who like doesn't want to do that.
Right. Did anybody ever see him do actual martial arts?
Yeah, it's
like
sad.
Fight?
Yeah,
or did he just tell people? And
his backstory is that he was like training this guy who's like a high-powered Hollywood agent in like Aikido. So that was like
then
how
he was
got
Native American, and then he was a cop.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think he ever knew very much. I think it was all a lie.
I think he's definitely a con man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like at least Jean-Claude Van Damme like would probably kick my ass. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I would like if I had to choose the fight between I'd fight both because it'd be hilarious. You know what I mean? Because I would put that.
Are we talking their prime or now?
Anytime. Just because just because I would put
now.
I'd put it in my credits. You know what I mean? Like Rights for Hard Times, co-host another goddamn horror podcast.
Beat the shit out of Seagal, but got my ass kicked
by Van Damme. I would just put that because it's hilarious.
It is.
And I've been beaten up by way less cool people than
you know. I'm not too proud. I think the present day Steven Seagal would still probably whoop my ass. Like yeah, he's like kind of a fraud, but I don't know how to fight at all. So like, even like at this stage in the game, he would still have like a leg up on me.
Right. I think you'd be surprised. I think you have kind of a nice guy strength.
What does that mean?
It means
like
that
Superman.
You're wiry.
You're wiry, and you're like, and you're like a good guy. You know what I mean? And like some like good guys, like when they get like the problem with like meatheady dudes, and me having some meatheady dude to me, I can say is that you get kind of cozy with the whole thing. So you like, it's like, like when you're like staring off into space while you're driving and you might like hit the curb a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Because you're like too comfortable driving, where like you would be like in there and on the action, and you're nice. So like I wouldn't put it past you to like have because all nice guys like have that.
My special move is going, hey man, come on.
I'm
finisher.
I'll stand behind you, and I got money on you. But if it starts going south, I got you back. Okay.
David in Mortal Kombat doesn't do fatalities. He only does friendships.
Get over here, please. Come on, I want to show you something.
Yeah, he walks into a phone booth and then comes out and goes, "I'm sorry, I had to take a call. What were we doing?" Like,
do you think? I know that we've talked about all these things, but do you think you can handle our Sinister Six?
Sure.
You think that's a possible?
I don't know. He might be too nice for him.
Yeah, you
You're also supposed to think of a new name for this, but I forgot.
Okay.
You're getting sued by the estate of Stephanie.
Yeah. It's only Sony. Sony's like, listen, we're gonna make that shitty movie.
All right,
Don't
no,
you dare call
six
Yeah, if we
opinion
don't, we
questions.
lose the copyright on it or whatever.
that.
All right, Freddy or Jason?
Freddy. No question. I mean, like,
No comic has ever said Jason.
like this, I have like some affection for the Friday the 13th movies, but they are just not good. None of them are good. Like, they're all at least pretty bad, and some of them are truly awful. I think that Jason X, I can make an argument for. I think that was one where they were like, okay, we finally, it took us like 8 or 10 or 9 movies. We finally found like a genuinely interesting way to do this by just like upping the camp level to this extreme. But almost all of those movies are just god awful.
You're gonna make Graham really sad.
Yeah,
but
Whereas the Friday the 13th shirt. So
Then some of the Friday the 13th movies, or I'm sorry, some of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies are awesome, and most of them are at least okay.
yes,
most.
Cool.
All right. What's the difference between thriller and horror?
It's like pornography. I don't know, but I know it when I see it, you know. Like
That's a really good answer.
That's a great answer.
I like, because I don't know. I'm trying to think, like, because to me, like, you know, Silence of the Lambs is a thriller, and I'm trying to think, like, I don't know. Do you think Green Room is a horror movie?
Yeah.
I think it could go either
Survival
way.
horror.
It's survival horror. Like, so I think it does fall under what my definition of horror is, but so like I think it does fall under that, but I can see how it could kind of live in,
because to me it's kind of on the borderline, and it's like, because to me that's more of a thriller because of like how much of an actual character the Patrick Stewart guy is in that movie, where it's like, to me, in horror, you're not going to get these parts where like the bad guys are scheming and stuff. Does that make sense? I'm trying to think of, like, Panic Room is the same type of movie to me.
Sure, and
I don't think anyone would say that that's a horror movie.
Graham says it.
My umbrella for horror though is wildly big.
Yeah.
The one that I've always had the line on was Seven. Seven can kind of go both ways. Like, it's kind of like it's got horrific elements, but also at its core, it's kind of a police procedural thriller. But then when it gets into the actual crimes, they're really fucking gross.
Yeah,
so
no,
it's
like they're so grotesque that
yeah.
I take it like pretty literal, like horror. If it's horrifying to anybody in any way, I think it's horror. So unless it's like ironically, like, I'm terrified of fucking a pie. Like,
you know what my favorite horror movie is the freaking News. Am I right, fellas?
Am I right? All right, Graham.
Oh shit, yeah. I've read these things almost 200 times and still can't remember them. What horror movie influenced your taste the most?
Oh man, that is a good question. I would say probably, I don't know. This is another one where it's like, I don't know, is this horror? But Jaws, I think, is like just the perfect movie, you know?
Definitely horror.
And
I call it adventure horror because of the soundtrack. Like the score is so much like I feel like they're going on a pirate ship to find the treasure.
It's a monster movie. I mean, it's
a creature feature.
It's a creature feature.
I mean, like I said, I think that just in general, my favorite type of movie is like people are stuck in this situation. There's some element of claustrophobia to it, and it's just like they got to deal with this threat, and like no one else is coming to help. Like,
You'd love Lockdown Tower.
Maybe. I don't know what that is. But yeah, I mean that applies to a lot of different genres of movie, but like I think Jaws is just like the platonic ideal of that, but Aliens is also one of my all-time favorite movies. I mean The Raid is a movie like that also, even though it's like a very different type of movie, but yeah. That's just like, I mean, Die Hard is like that also. It's just like I really enjoy just like the simplicity of that, where it's like you have the premise, and then once that's set up, it's just like everything is character driven after that.
Sure. I like it.
Right. If you could erase one movie from existence, what would it be?
Oh man.
Doesn't have to be horror.
Be anything.
I mean, that's a tough question just because it's like if a movie is bad and it's just out there, it's like, well, not my problem. I'm trying to think of like
that's a good answer.
I'm trying to think
it's our most passed on question.
I'm trying to think of something that was like so personally annoying to me. Like I think that the last movie that I saw where I was like, I wish I'd never seen this movie was John Carpenter's Vampires.
Yeah, it's really terrible.
That movie is just like, I fucking love John Carpenter. He's my The Thing is, of course, like another movie in that genre I was just talking about, where it's like we gotta fucking deal with this thing, and I think it's maybe the greatest horror movie of all time. But and like he just like couldn't miss throughout the 80s and then early 90s, and then Escape from LA I will defend, even though there are a lot of just like,
I'll defend that movie too.
Like I think that there's really fun stuff in it, although
absolutely
it's just very badly made for a John Carpenter movie. Like the last time I watched it, I did never really notice this before, but the sound mixing is really bad. Like the music is way too loud at parts and stuff like that. It's just like
when he's riding
made,
the
which is weird.
Fire.
Yeah. But yeah, Vampires was just like, what is this? It's like so low effort. It just like looks like it was filmed on a studio backlot. Even the soundtrack is really bad, especially by John Carpenter's standards. I guess that's my answer.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
That's a good one.
It's really funny that you said that because I have that movie. I own it.
He loves it. It's his favorite John Carpenter.
No, I actually do like that movie a lot, but it's an absolute piece of shit. So like it's one of those that's like it's one of the worst movies I've probably ever definitely John Carpenter. It's the worst movie John Carpenter's ever made, but I fucking love that movie for what it is.
Even like Ghosts of Mars is fucking insane, but it's like fun, because it's just like it's also like, what is this? But
it's just because Ice Cube's in it.
Yeah,
like, he just shows up and he's like,
that leads into our next question.
What is his name? Isn't his name like Desolation Jones or something?
Yeah.
Are ghosts real?
No. That doesn't make sense to me. I like the way that we conceive of them anyway, where it's like I don't know. I thought that the first season of American Horror Story dealt with some of the contradictions of this in a very funny way. Like one of the things in that show was like, if you leave the property lot that the haunted house is on, you like go back into the house. Like the ghosts like can't leave. They can't cross the property line. So
right.
It's like so it's like you're a ghost. You're like an eternal energy that's like tied to the earth and also subject to like zoning regulations.
I've always thought that. Like, why is the house
there's like an office downtown where they have like a property map and like you're actually subject to the rulings on that. So
yeah, they're like, yeah, that'd be good, but we're really big into capitalism here, and the
Bill Lundberg from Office Space shows up to talk to the ghosts.
We're big on private property. You know what I mean? Like the afterlife are just a bunch of Republicans. You know what I mean?
My theory is ghosts are the ghosts of aliens now. That's why there's not so many. and they can just go wherever.
Okay, that feels more realistic to me.
Yeah,
I want that. I want the Ringo.
Let's throw aliens in there too, and then somehow they cancel each other out.
Right.
That actual sentence just gave Alex Jones an aneurysm. Like,
this is just a fun thing to think about from me for free. It's the like demon or monster or whatever from It Follows, but it's Austin Powers and he's doing the dance from the beginning of the movie. He's like always coming towards you, but it's like
Can I be honest with you guys about something? But I don't talk about a lot. I've never seen Austin Powers.
Not even any of them?
It's great.
Not even a minute.
Holds up. Still really funny. I watched it last year for the first time in a while. The first one is still great. Diminishing returns, but there's still good bits in the second and third one too.
Yeah,
you should watch Goldmember, where he walks around being stereotypically Dutch and eating skin. It's very horrific.
It's one of Beyonce's terrible performances.
It is actually very much.
She's not a good actor.
No.
All right, last one. Midsommar or Hereditary?
Oh man, I like them both a lot, and and one of the things that I appreciate about them is how different they are, while both being very fucking Ari Aster movies. I just think Hereditary is a masterpiece. Like I think it's like that is like maybe a top 5 movie of all time for me, and it's like Midsummer is great too, but like I just think Hereditary is so much more intense and frightening, and like I don't know, it seems like it's got a lot more depth to it to me, whereas Midsummer is like very unique and interesting, and like the way that it's like it has such a an unusual look to it. Like no other movies look like that, but it's it's sort of I think it's kind of a shallower movie. Like I don't think that it feels as personal. Like Ari Aster just like took this script that someone else had already written and then turned it into being about him being a bad boyfriend, which is like I love how like surface, like how on the surface his self-loathing is in all of his movies, but Hereditary really felt like, I don't know, that felt like it was getting at some much deeper shit to me.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Did you guys see Beau is Afraid?
I did.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, that's like one of the most stressful movies I've ever seen.
It is really stressful. It's like 3 hours. Fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I'm on this no kind of A24 sort of movies right now, so I haven't watched Beau is Afraid. I occasionally I'm just kind of into I'm watching Reacher for a reason. Like I just want something that's like sort of like dead inside, you know what I mean? I want it as dead as
it goes down. It goes down so easy.
It does. It's just like I laugh my ass off, like when he's putting bodies in the trunk and like breaking the legs in half to do it. Like I laugh my ass off at that. Exactly. It's like it's just perfect, and I don't need to like spend a whole lot of time yeah.
It's so good. In one of the Jack Reacher books, there's like at the beginning of the book, he is like even more jacked than he usually is because he's spent the past few months in Key West working a day job where he's digging swimming pools by hand. And there's a part in that book where he gets shot in the chest, but it doesn't get through his pecs because they're too big.
That's pretty amazing.
I'm digging swimming pools because that's how manual labor works. You know,
100%, yeah.
Right.
You know how everyone who like
out...
ditch diggers are the most muscular men alive.
Right.
Back problems or whatever.
I'd like to point out that 3 years ago, I believe, right around this time, I believe it was it was after Halloween. I'd watched a lot of horror movies. We did our like 93 review, and I was like, I'm going to take a break now and watch trash competition reality TV for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And Ryan was like, fuck you. I watch horror year round.
I do watch horror year round. I can watch Reacher and horror. Like,
yeah. I watch horror every day.
I was saying before
I was just not watching Fork. Go ahead.
Before we started recording, I was saying I'm like, I have not seen many new horror movies this year, and a big part of that is because last year I did a challenge for no reason where I decided I was going to watch 50 horror movies in 50 days between 9/11 and Halloween. And I did it. I like got through 50 of them, but like by the end I was having like fucking insane nightmares. So like, I needed to pull it back a little bit. It was like I was doing fine, and then around like number 40 I watched the David Cronenberg The Fly, which I had never seen before and is probably the most fucked up movie I've ever seen. It's so funny. It's so funny that that's like his most commercially successful movie, because I've seen a lot of David Cronenberg movies and I loved Cronenberg, but like that one is so much more disturbing and just sad and hard to watch than most of his other ones.
I have a fly tattoo, and God, I can't twist my arm correctly. And I think it's absolutely fantastic. But I agree. I actually kind of put it into play. I put it with Jaws, where it was like widely commercially popular, but also kind of fucked up. You know what I mean? I bring this up on the show a lot, but they fed like a 10-year-old kid to Jaws. You know what I mean? Like, and like at one point in the Fly,
that's not as bad as the part where the guy gets his hand melted off with fucking when Jeff Goldblum comes out of his mouth on the guy's hand. That is still worse, I think.
There is also a floating dismembered leg in Jaws. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's not like
that's whatever. That's kid stuff, man. Like it's like it is not as gross as like, you know, like I guess it just sort of depends on what you care about, but for me, anything involving fingernails falling off is just like pretty tough. And then just like the general decay, like when his ear falls off, or he's like yeah, I don't know. That movie's fucking. Nasty.
I kind of like that his dick is in the medicine cabinet.
Yeah, it's solid bit. The Brundle Museum of Transformation cabinet. Or something like that.
Yeah. I also like it. It's another compound fracture movie. I'm a fan of the compound fracture.
Yeah.
Well, that was like, I'm so lucky that it happened this way, because I like put that movie on right before going to sleep, and I got about a half hour in and I was like, this is great. I really like these characters and stuff. And then I went to sleep, and then the next day I got kind of stoned and put it back on, and like it immediately went from like 1 to 10 in terms of like, because the compound fracture thing like happens before any of the really nasty transformation stuff.
Right.
And for me, it wasn't so much the compound fracture as like I was having a hard time watching that, because I was like, man, he's being a real jerk right now.
Well, I mean,
like he's going to be so embarrassed about the way he's treating his girlfriend right now.
Right. Well, but you know, he goes in there and like, he scores that woman, which was a little questionable, anyways, by like breaking that dude's arm. Like
I'll tell you what, that's not nice guy strength.
I don't know, man. Have you tried?
No, David wouldn't become the fly. He would become the fruit fly. Just a little, you know.
Hey, Graham, what
did you just say to me?
The fuck did you say, man?
I'll fucking kill you.
Hey, Graham. What's your recommendation for this week?
Fuck.
I mean, I recommend people should.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
have Jonas go.
I'll go. So physical media, I'm going to recommend a not horror movie that is as gory as a lot of horror movies, and I'm recommending this because it's my favorite in this entry of films, and also because Best Buy is not selling physical media anymore because they're assholes. So get your steelbooks from Best Buy, exclusives while you still can, online and stuff. And this one is Punisher Warzone.
Oh,
Punisher Warzone is an absolute piece of shit, and it's awesome. Like it's
oh, that movie rocks, man.
Yeah.
That
It's
movie's the best Punisher movie.
that is
Easily.
exactly what a Punisher movie should.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easily the best Punisher.
McNulty from The Wire is the bad guy.
Yeah, dude, it's fucking great. But you know, like objectively speaking, it is a very bad movie that is very awesome. It's easily my favorite Punisher movie. So yeah, you should get that. You can still get like their Best Buy exclusives on the website for like the regular price. They're not like, you know, price gouging them or anything yet, but literally starting tomorrow, they're not selling physical media in the stores anymore. And then also this is a graphic novel called Lovesick.
By the way, I love that Best Buy is just like, what, like at this point, like, what do you buy at Best Buy? I mean, you know,
Nothing appliances. That's about it.
Do you buy appliances at Best Buy? I don't know.
I see a lot of people walking out with washing machines and shit. Like it's weird.
Yeah, TVs, audio equipment. I don't know. I get headphones from there. They got a pretty good warranty.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, their physical media thing has been dying for a long time, and then like the last 3 months, they just decided to say, "Fuck you, we're not going to sell them anymore." Which is a bummer because they had a lot of like exclusive stuff that was just to them. But Walmart is unfortunately the one that's coming in and taking the crown now, and they're going to be the one that's doing all the exclusives and stuff. So I
just remembered I dropped an AirPod down a storm drain yesterday.
God damn it.
That's a bummer.
And this is the first time that it ever happened. It was incredible. It was like a heat-seeking missile. It's like I dropped it, bounced off my foot, and then like just rolled into this one storm drain on that block. Oh my God.
It happened in slow motion. We were like, no.
Not even, because I didn't even know that was a danger until it was already down there. I was just sort of like watched it fall. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll better get, oh no.
Like, God damn it.
Yeah.
So yeah, my other recommendation was this one. It's a graphic novel called Lovesick. There's an entire series of them. The author, illustrator, her name is Luana Vecchio, and Luana Vecchio. You should check it out. It's gross. It's very much like a Hellraiser style, super gross and horny graphic novel. 100% horror. And I've read through it multiple times now, and it's super good. So if you're into graphic novels, that one's one of the best horror related ones that I've seen in quite a long time. And that one was gotten for me from on my birthday from Lauren Petrie from the Alien Murder Sex podcast. So them's be my recommendations.
All right, I'll go now. Oh geez, I missed it. All right, so hot water music for music. There's nothing good that's come out in the past like 2 weeks, so I've been listening to old shit. Hot water music's Keep It Together. It's like their B-sides and shit. It's really fucking fantastic. Listen to that, and listen to McCluskey. McCluskey does Dallas, and
fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Did you? Oh man, I got to see them last year. I think that
I didn't see McCluskey. I've never seen McCluskey. I've seen Future the Left.
I think they canceled the tour before they got to New York last year because their leads. I hope he's okay. He had like some kind of inner ear problem, and I hope it's nothing permanent. But like,
oh shit, I did not know that.
Last year they toured the United States for the first time in 20 years, and that was like one of those bands that I thought I was never gonna see. But like, they sounded fucking amazing. They came and played Rev Hall here in Portland. It was so good.
Fucking rad. I love that band so much, and I love Future the Left.
One of the all-time great Welsh punk bands or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. And that's it, I guess. I haven't really been watching anything except trash TV. Oh, a lot of the British baking show. It's such a like nice, comforting show after this bullshit holiday stuff. It's real nice to just burn out on that. So that's it.
Also, music, I'll throw one in there just to add it to it. Dead Air Teeth Grinder. I just sent it over to the boys not too long ago.
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, they're a fucking great band called Dead Air. And I've listened to a lot of their stuff since I sent that over. Fucking great band. You should check them out.
Oh boy. It's been weird because I haven't been watching a lot. I've been watching Reacher. as we talked about. So I'm going to suggest Reacher. I'm not really going to suggest it, but if you watch it, you'll probably be like, yeah, I can just keep watching this because, like every episode, he's going to break a neck. You know what I mean? Like we can trust
that cereal. You can just keep going.
Just keep going. You're like, if I just keep milking them on him, I'm just going to keep going. Yeah. I am going to suggest the last podcast on the left's series on it turns out it's not a soccer team, it is a rugby team that crashed in the Andes. The Alive people, their 3-part series on that is absolutely fantastic. I enjoy that they changed people so quick when they had problems on their thing, and Ed Larson has been a great addition. He's actually he's a funny guy. Have you guys ever worked with him?
Ed Larson rules. Yeah, he's great.
Have you ever worked with him, David?
No, I don't know who that is.
He's a stand-up.
I haven't either.
Yeah, he's a stand-up, and he is the new like third host of Last Podcast on the Left. He
used to float through New York a lot, but he hasn't been in quite some time. He pretty much kind of stays in California for the most part.
Yeah, and the series on that situation in the Andes, a lot like their Donner Party series. If you,
I was gonna say that was because that's like a class. I haven't listened to that podcast in a long time, but that's like one of their classic series. That was really good. I remember.
Yeah, and the Alive series is like that, and like the Donner Party series, when you actually hear about people eating other people, it's way more harsh when you get into the details. Like it's just like way more but the cool thing about this series is it's actually kind of oddly uplifting, because they really do, like, they were all very good to each other. They all, like, unlike the Donner Party, which started killing people to eat them, they did not do any of that. They were just eating the bodies that died, and they were just a young rugby team, and they all worked together. And it actually ends up being sort of, for a bunch of people dying and for them having to do something that most people would be repulsed by, it's actually kind of a really positive story about how they
have you seen Alive?
I have seen Alive.
It's a good movie, and it's like because of that, I think, because it's not like kind of a geek show thing. It's like it's sort of an inspirational story, even though it is like super fun.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like that's kind of like really my wheelhouse. Is like, let's feel good about this. Like, these people were in like a brutal situation and they did what they had to do, and they like straight up ate their friends, you know what I mean? Like, and I always like that. I didn't write it, but I like the Hard Times article, which is like black metal bands already eating each other when their car breaks down on the side of the road. You know, but it's I don't know, it's a cool story. Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of old reggae, a lot of old rocksteady stuff, 60s stuff, Laurel Aitken and things like that. And I strongly suggest that if anybody wants a cool list, let me know, and I'll go cool playlist or something like that. Hit me up on social media, and I'll happily pass that on.
Graham.
Yeah, I remembered I watched Prometheus and Covenant again, and they both fucking rule. I don't care what you say.
Prometheus is unfairly maligned, man.
No, they're both awful movies, but yeah, okay.
They fucking rule. Both of them are dope as hell.
Nope, wrong.
Yep.
And
Covenant,
Covenant
is wrong.
And Covenant's a fucking great horror film.
No, both those movies are unwatchable.
Nope, you're wrong. Silly goose.
Silly goose.
Unwatchable.
Oh, shit, those are fighting words.
He's gonna boop him on the nose and be like, "No, you're
walking up to Jack Reacher like, what are you looking at, silly goose?"
All right, Mr. Twitty, take us out.
Okay, so first of all, I just want to recommend Club Random, the Bill Maher YouTube series. He's just so funny and so insightful, and he definitely doesn't get too high to make sense on every episode. He has really good guests. I'm kidding.
Yes,
okay, so I was sick like a couple weeks ago, so I started a rewatch of Deadwood, which I've not watched in a long time, and it is the greatest television show of all time. And if you have not seen it, you need to do yourself a fucking favor, cocksucker, and watch that show. It's so good. every character is perfect in it, and it just like, I don't know, dudes are getting so mad that they cry like all the time.
I think I'm the only one who doesn't like it. I really like I like it in doses, but I kind of feel like the scenario is cool, but like there's no bigger over. They did this with this show called Big Love too for a while, which was about like Bill Paxton, and he had like multiple wives, Chloe Sevigny, and like
it was also a good show.
So, but nothing happens in these shows. Like Deadwood, like literally nothing happens. Like it's literally like they're like, okay, we got Al Schwarzenegger.
So much happens in that show.
But it's no big story. It's like they're like it's literally like a sitcom where they're like, okay, well, we have this like scenario, and now we have to like set them up rather than like we have a story that involves these people. It's like we have a scenario.
Hey, it's like
it's one of the
around like real life events, like the
era.
Like the show is about the American dream, man. It's about
we're so all against you on this one, Ryan. I'm sorry.
It's about the expansion of the American West. Is about, I mean, the story like of that show is it's about how this mining camp in South Dakota became incorporated into the United States and became like a real town and stuff, and like all the messy shit that went on around that. But within that, so much fucking shit happens, dude. Like
I think it's literally
Wild Bill and like
that happens like halfway through the first series, and also like I think it's literally like they're like it's like South Park. It's like at some point you're like, okay, this is just kids cussing. And I really think it's like
there's that. That's true.
It's like pretty much it's like you know what other thing was like this was 6 Feet Under, which was like literally like every single season they just
also
like,
considered to be one of the greatest.
Yeah, dude,
because it's like man. From a storytelling point of view, it's crap. Like literally like every season they're like, okay, what are we going to put Nate through this season until they finally kill him? No,
wrong.
No, it's wrong.
Yeah,
it's like literally
now
nothing.
You know how
I watched The Sopranos. They're just doing mafia stuff the whole
yeah, it's true.
You're gonna shit on Rome and Oz and Carnival too. What the fuck is wrong,
man? Early 2000s HBO in general is one of my recommendations.
Fucking fire,
it's great.
Whenever Deadwood gets slow though, somebody does just walk onto the screen and just be like, "Hey guys, cunt." All right, I gotta go. Like
it's pretty much like Al Schwarzenegger is like a fucking stand-up comedian who just comes out and like does like a fucking set every show. That's
oh, he's bitter.
Yeah.
We're ending the year on some
that
fucking
show hurt
hate, my friends.
You ever notice how men and fucking women are different, you cocksuckers?
He's like, oh, white guys dance like this, and
but so Deadwood, Reacher, obviously. Let's say, the first 2 Soundgarden EPs. I just like, I just threw those on the other day, just for like. I hadn't listened to that shit in a very long time, and I am not like a Soundgarden guy, but the original Sub Pop stuff is so fucking good.
Yeah.
And I've also been listening to a lot of Sugar, the Bob Mould stuff from the early 90s.
Hell yeah.
Unreal. So good. And this is a little bit it's kind of corny, but I like David Bowie's Tin Machine stuff too. I've been listening to that lately as well.
The Slick is from Bob Mould is one of my favorite songs ever.
I mean, all the show, like everything from Sugar is so good.
Yeah,
I can't believe how good
and good idea
and like easy to listen to it is compared to Husker Du too. Because like I like Husker Du a lot, but like Sugar is like those are like almost pop songs and they're so good.
They're fully a lot of them.
And then the other thing is the Guys podcast. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Murder Brian on Twitter, but it's this guy he goes by Murder Brian is his Twitter handle. His name is Brian Quimby. He has a show called Guys, a podcast about guys, and I am obsessed with it. It's like every episode is about a different type of guy. So he's done Horror Guys. That was an episode that he did where he found some truly depraved individuals on YouTube or whatever. But like he's done I'm trying to think what's like the first episode he did was Sex Guys, and like he was reading like reviews of Hedonism 2, the sex resort on TripAdvisor. And he's just like, this guy is just like, he's got a knack for finding these incredibly strange people on the internet. And like anytime that I describe this to people, they're like, this sounds like the worst thing ever, but I'm fucking fascinated by it.
I'll check it out. I will totally check it out.
He's done Classic Rock Guys, which was like, that was mostly people being mad at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for inducting Missy Elliott and shit like that. Like, it's, yeah, I don't know. It's about fandom and loneliness, and I think it's really interesting, and it's a very relevant podcast to our times. I think
if there was no other podcast,
5 days at Hedonism 2.
Okay,
and
Really?
almost died of alcohol poisoning. Yeah, really.
Holy shit! Of all
It's a
people, I
very,
wouldn't have
very
expected
long
you.
story, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I wouldn't have expected, out of all of us, I would not have expected Graham to be the one that went to a fuck resort.
Wait, you thought that Ryan would be the guy?
Probably, for sure would be the one. He'd just be throwing dick around.
So, Graham, out of 5 stars on TripAdvisor, what would you give it?
3.
Okay.
No, 4.
Okay, that's a pretty strong endorsement. Because
Yeah.
I've never really. I don't go to a lot of resorts, so
Mhm.
I don't have a lot to compare it to. But I had
Yeah,
a good
great.
fucking time.
It'd be a great review. Just like, this is the only one I've been to, so 4 stars out of 5 because I almost died. I had to knock a star off.
Right.
It was the year the Marshall Mathers EP that came out the day before we left for it.
Oh, that's a fun timestamp.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an interesting time in white history. Like,
Oh fuck, David! It's great to see you. I'll see you probably in
Yeah, that was so fun.
next couple weeks. You got anything coming up? Anything big? You're
Yeah. So, Portland, January 4th. I'm going to be at. I'm going to be on 51st Jokes here at Revolution Hall Show Bar.
I'll be on. I'm on that too. So
Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's that's like such a fun show, and I'm really excited to do it again. January 11th, I'm going to be in Independence, Oregon at I forget the name of the venue. You can find all this stuff on my website. Seattle, January 12th and 13th. I'm going to be opening for my friend Kate Willett at Club Comedy Seattle. And then I'm going to be in Washington, D.C., January 26th and 27th at Hotbed Comedy D.C.
Fuck yeah, dude. Nice work. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. We have been having, we took last week off, because we care about Christmas and family. Bullshit. I actually couldn't handle it. We had a great show lined up, and
we all had our own holiday meltdowns. It was great.
Yeah, it was great. We literally every single one of us like nearly was killed. But you know what? People kept listening and kept tuning in. United States still number one. Let's see what state's number one. New York number 1, California number 2, Oregon number 3, Washington number 4, Texas, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Illinois, Ohio, Virginia, Colorado, Georgia, Tennessee, DC, Massachusetts. God, we actually do fucking good everywhere.
We spread it around.
Let's see. Our least listened to state is Wyoming, which
it's because there's only like 8 people.
That has the fewest
it's
people,
fine.
so that's
yeah, and the fewest people I give a fuck about. No, I'm kidding.
There's gonna be like
that's
3
cold.
fans in Wyoming that are just like, you piece of shit.
You piece of
Ryan
shit.
has alienated so many states of
But
fans.
listen, I'm from Colorado, and if anybody in Colorado wants to talk about it and say that I'm
Listen to
wrong,
our show more.
Oh,
They
you guys
could-
have you have a rivalry over who's the best rectangle state.
exactly.
hilarious.
Yeah, that's a good.
Actually, his shitting on Wyoming was just a bleeding over from him shitting on Deadwood. He just does not like people in those states.
Yeah, Colorado, Wyoming, Arizona, 4 corner states and above. Like Wyoming's got its good point. Like you can buy amazing crack in Rock Springs, and
I saw probably the scariest looking person I've ever seen in Casper one time when I stopped for gas there.
I mean,
Makes sense.
Wyoming's like a fucking like a for real place. Like there's a couple states I wouldn't fuck around in, and it's one of them. Like Montana thinks they're tough and like Western, they're not.
No.
Go to Wyoming. Wyoming is like is for real. There's just something. It's something about that cold wind that just like butt breaks them. You take 80 through Wyoming, and I'll tell you, it's your chances of dying pretty solid. UK coming in second. Canada, you're in third. New Zealand solidly in fourth place, with Germany right behind it. Australia, you fall into fifth place. You're actually tied with Sweden and Turks and Caicos. Turks and Caicos Islands, Sweden, and Australia still in there. And then India. How do we have so many fans in India? Which is just the most fantastic thing in the world. Like, I love it. I like ate Indian food for dinner. I love India. Like, I love the idea that we're great there, which is just followed right by Mexico and then Poland, Netherlands, and France. Thank you so much for everybody. Oh, and then Puerto Rico. Thank you so much, everybody, for following us. And I hope you made it through the holidays less scathed than I did, and the rest of our team, because we nearly killed us.
It was a rough one.
This one was rough. This one was particularly rough. I even said at the beginning.
Big shout out. Big shout to the what?
This episode was?
No. This holiday. No. This episode is actually.
We're not having David back. We barely survived the last one.
Yeah.
No, but shout out also to the Army of the Goddamn, Michael Foley, Drew Muldowney, Stephanie Gurley, Katie Wyken, Chris Fortune, Alan Graham, Bacon Bits the Cat, Angela, Jasmine Pettit, Jason Daniels, Jake Jolly, Mom, Ron Knobloch, Kristen Pearl, Manny Velazquez, Coleman Rosenberg, Ryan Smith, Jared Warren, Michelle Vizina, Brandon Housen, and that's it. Thank you.
And that Army of the Goddamn is our Patreon supporters. And if you want to get your name read on there, go to AGHP 666 at Patreon, and we have multiple tiers. We even have a $1 tier if you just want to say thank you for this thing. And
also, just real quick for that Army of the Goddamn, the first 2024 episode of The Grindhouse on Patreon is going to be coming soon, and the movie that we're covering is Dead Girl. So we're going to get real nasty about a movie about necrophilia. So it's going to be a fucking gross one. So if you're into extreme horror, that's what we're going to be doing on there. And also, shout out to Morbidly Beautiful for having us on the channel there. You can always go to morbidlybeautiful.com and check us out there, along with our link tree. So, but support everything that Morbidly Beautiful is doing there, because they got fucking podcasts, they got articles, they got reviews, they all sorts of shit. So definitely check them out.
Start fires, break glass. Bye.